For Kamala Harris's part, though, I think she owes the people of this country an answer. Where does she stand on nationalizing healthcare? Are you for it or are you against it? Where do you stand? This is a big one that people don't talk about. Affects small business owners, including black and white business owners across the country. She favors what's called a tax on unrealized capital gains. What that means is, even if you have a business, you're a businessman too, right? So you're operating a business, but take somebody who's maybe in a tougher position than you are. That means you have to pay taxes even when you don't have the cash to pay those taxes because the government says that it's worth something and you have to pay 25% of that value every year. Well, what if you don't have the cash in your pocket? That forces you to either sell your business, take out a loan to pay taxes. That's a formula for real economic calamity. She has consistently supported that. That's what we need to be talking about. Are you still in favor of it? If so, why? Let's have that policy debate. And I think that hiding from those issues is something that leaves the American people holding the bag.
She'll get to that, I'm sure, when the debates come and everything else. And
we only have 3 months.
When she does interviews. I agree with that. I want to ask you to think about the flip-flopping, too. Isn't that what politicians do, though? And what I mean by that is J.D. Vance was calling Trump America's Hitler, right? But now when it comes to Trump, he's the Hawk Tuah girl. Like he's just, he's sucking him off every chance he gets. And that's what a lot of y'all do. Like just politicians in general. You hear so many different Republicans have said so many negative things about Donald Trump, but then as soon as he becomes the nominee, everybody just falls in line.
And normally they fall in line in unison, and you can rage against the machine. It doesn't feel like Trump and Vance are like it's not there. Like
so what do you call that?
So here's what I will say is it fair game to press J.D. Vance hard on why he said certain things about Donald Trump before versus what his view is on Donald Trump today? Yes, I think that's fair game. And has he been pressed and has he answered for that? Yes, he has. What I would love to see is both candidates, and Kamala Harris hasn't done this yet. And I'd love to challenge her to do it because I think it's good for the voters of the country. She hasn't sat down for one media interview of a hard-pressing one-on-one variety yet. And she's actually the leading candidate now in many of the polls for U.S. president. So I just think we deserve a country where the people are willing to show up. She should show up here. She should show up on CNBC, where I was this morning, and actually engage in hard questions about what her beliefs are. You saw JD, say what you will, on 3 shows yesterday, pressed on exactly that very issue. And I think that's good for the American people to then be able to make their own judgment. It's not your judgment or a journalist's judgment, but it's what people at home are able to see to assess. Do I actually believe somebody who believes they changed their mind over the course of time? Kamala Harris might have changed her mind, and I think it's okay. Flip-flopping is one thing, changing your mind thoughtfully is another. But you deserve to be questioned on it, and it's up to the voters to decide whether or not they believe you. Right now, we're not getting that chance. And I do think it is, you're saying, well, hopefully we're going to see that. I'm not sure yet that we will. It's been about a solid month that Kamala Harris has been the presumptive nominee. We got the convention coming up, this coming week, next week. I think it is vital for the health of this country that the same treatment that the media gave Joe Biden in that last few weeks after his debate, they didn't do that for 3 years.
Yeah.
For 3 years, we missed that. The fact that it took that early debate and Donald Trump demolishing him in that debate for the country to suddenly wake up and say that Joe Biden is not a functioning U.S. president is actually a damning indictment of the entire media and its relationship to the political class. So we can't make that same mistake with Kamala Harris. I think the media needs to demand that she at least face the same kind of questioning that, frankly, J.D. Vance and Donald Trump are getting right now. And then the public it's up to them to decide. That's a functioning democracy.
But you're not.
And stop defending her, Charlamagne. And people that have asked her a question, they asked her who's her favorite rapper.
Yeah, they don't ask her hard-pressing questions, and they anything she says and does, and same for Tim Walz, they just kind of like gas it up like it's something. Like, and Trump and them, anything they do, they tear it down and demonize and scrutinize it. So there's obviously a bias here, and then we have these puppets who are going up to bat for her. Like, who even is this lady? I've never seen her in my life.
They're trying to find somebody to replace Angela Yee. They just
throwing. It's just like they've had like 3 different random black ladies on there.
I just wonder, like,
that's true.
Why wouldn't they look at, the Biden and the Harrison campaign is just completely lied? Because she went on stage and lied to people and said Biden is perfectly fine.
That's true.
And then we just witnessed her.
They never talk about that.
Put her in first place in front of this man without, no elections happening to vote her in. And y'all finna tell us we supposed to listen to these people that been lying to us all from the rip?
Well, Biden did kind of win, but I feel like Biden ain't damn near win. They ain't do no race. They didn't do nothing.
They didn't. It's weird.
This is weird, and I'm confused how people are falling for this.
Turn around, somebody everyone knows this person just blatantly lied to me. Now I'm gonna vote for them to be my leader. Like that just doesn't.
Off of identity politics,
literally off of that. Well, he's racist, so I'll go with this.
Are getting right now, and then the public it's up to them to decide. That's a functioning democracy.
But because you're not implying by her not doing the interviews and based off of the way that Biden was treated in those last couple of weeks, you're not implying that you don't think she's competent to be the president of the United States, right?
I'm saying the media's covering for her right now the same way they covered for Biden for 3 years.
You think they're covering, or you think that she's just using her
They're not playing
strategy?
hard. They're not paying this. She's using a strategy. Okay, I think she's using some smart.
Which politicians do.
That's fine, but I think it's the media's job now to cut through that strategy and say this person very well could be the president of the United States. Has at least a 50% chance right now, according to most forecasts, of being the next president. She deserves to be questioned, not with kid gloves, but questioned with the gloves off on what exactly her policy vision is for the country. Until that happens, I think the voters are hiding in the dark, and that's what allows the machine to work. Because we know she's questioned a lot on that behind closed doors. Who's funding the campaigns of both parties? You know, behind closed doors, a lot of donors ask a lot of questions. That's how you raise hundreds of millions of dollars in just 1 month. The voting public deserves that same level of transparency. And one of the things I will, say what you will about, you could criticize either side. I like that Donald Trump showed up at the Libertarian Party convention, right? That's a third party. They had a convention. I actually spoke there. He spoke there as well the next night. I like that he spoke to the National Association of Black Journalists in Chicago. I'd love for Kamala Harris to show up at the National Association of Black Journalists.
Well, she wanted to, but they wouldn't let her do the virtual thing. She does have a day job.
He said show up. He said show up. See how they keep moving the needle?
Trump showed up.
Let me get on the show, bro.
Well, they wouldn't let her do the virtual thing.
You know what's crazy? The only policy she has talked about is something that Trump said
already.
And she said it a day or two after he said it.
The literal next day, I believe.
This would make me
we're
hot.
not doing taxes on kids.
It's real life. People really think life is sweet right now. It's real life wars going on. And y'all want to be in this bitch. She ain't show up.
No, literally.
I don't want no excuses from a nigga. They finna send us across this world.
No, literally. I'm just tired of everyone keep moving the needle. Obviously this guy's a paid chill. He let Joe Biden come on there and say, if you're not black, if you don't vote Joe Biden. Then he also questioned Kamala Harris on her blackness. And now, I want to endorse Trump because I think he's bad for democracy. But you're up here caping for someone who you already, I don't know, man.
It's just sad that it's not just him. That's the bad part.
It's both of them. And obviously they already have their opinion, so they're going to go up there and bat for it. They're not being impartial to the facts here. I think Vivek makes a lot of good points. Go on TV, show up in person, and campaign for your campaign.
Yeah.
You've yet to talk policy. You've yet to get grilled by the media, and they've held your hand and collared you, and they've built you up to be this figure, and you've yet to stand on that. I think that is a fair criticism.
Maybe she's still getting her policies together.
That's a fair request.
It's just when you listen to Trump, he make it so simple. He be like, well, we're paying too much for that.
We're going to do that.
I'm going to cut that
off.
off.
This is why. And when they had this is what happened.
So I can make this cheaper for us.
And I'm going to do this. And it's going to help these people. Oh, how do I help these people? Well, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to do this. And we did this last time. And that didn't work. So we're going to do this.
And if they don't do that, I'm going to put a tariff on them.
And it's just
ain't going to make no money for them.
At the end of the day, take all the black, white, all that out of it. You got a candidate who has been the president before. Numbers were good. You have another candidate who hasn't been the president and has been the vice president, and numbers for what they're in charge of are bad. So if you go off that alone, stat alone, if no one knew, if you say you got person A, person B, I bet a lot more people would choose person A.
It's sad that we have to break it down like this. If two teams went out there and played each other, and one team has plays and one team don't got plays, which team's gonna win?
Yeah.
When they running a 3-4 defense, and this coach got a route for his receiver, they gonna win. And this other team say y'all just run y'all own route.
I'm gonna keep it 100, bro. They already have a playbook.
Got no scheme.
They already have a playbook and scheme. It's right in front of you.
Oh yeah, they ran it last season.
We are literally watching the Biden administration. She is part of the Biden administration.
Yeah.
To expect any difference from someone who's a part of the current administration that's bad is it's foolish. Obviously, there's going to be some changes. She's a new face to the thing, but we know that she's the most liberal governor, and now you have a liberal radical like Tim Walz who puts tampons in men's bathroom and encouraged the BLM riots in the burning of his own city, and then his family members leaked information of where the police going to be so they could evade arrest. I mean, we understand where their position is going to be, and anyone that's playing a blind eye to that, you're a fool, and you're obviously complicit in the destruction of America.
Association of Black Journalists.
Well, she wanted to, but they wouldn't let her do the virtual thing. She does have a day job.
But the day
still
job,
vice president.
No, but the day job is running. Come on, at this point, she is going full time, reading off a teleprompter at the rallies, the same thing 4 times a day. She should show up for that interview. If Donald Trump sits down with the National Association of Black Journalists, I'm sorry. A scheduling excuse is not a valid reason for the
don't we know
competitor to also show up.
But if Kamala, not to cut you off, I'm sorry. If Kamala sits down with NABJ, we know where she's going conversation wise, right? I think it's honestly,
I don't necessarily true. I don't think that's true. I think the person who did that interview for Donald Trump, if they had taken the same approach with respect to Kamala Harris, I think that'd actually be pretty good conversation for the country.
I don't know if she would. I want to see her on. I want to see the vice president on Fox News.
Yeah, I think she should go across the room.
Even better. Even better, right? So one of the things I liked, I mean, Donald Trump went to the Bronx. People could say it wasn't the real Bronx or whatever, but he showed up in the Bronx. He showed up in the South Bronx. Showed up in inner cities in the country. Even in my own campaign, I went to the South Side of Chicago. Went to a room full of 95% black, 95% Democrat. It's not a traditional Republican primary location. Mm-hmm. I went to Kensington in the inner city of Philadelphia. Speaking as a former candidate myself, I could tell you those trips had an impact on me, right? It had an impact on my view of a national unity that I believe is possible in this country that I wouldn't have had if I hadn't showed up there. I'd love to see Kamala Harris go into rural Mississippi, go into Alabama, showing up at a Fox News moderated town hall.
Well, she does do that. Now, we can't act like she doesn't do that. I mean, even the past week, she hit all of the battleground states, and she's actually hitting the street, which I think in a lot of ways is more effective right now than sitting
with
down and doing an
hostile questioning,
interview.
though, is not. I want to see her answer questions from people who disagree.
Come on,
that's what the country's founded on.
Thank you.
So
Come on this channel,
face off with the people you disagree with.
So like town halls, you mean?
Yeah, town halls.
I'm not mad at that.
And or hostile journalists. And here's why. When you stop talking
Not
to people
hostile, hard hitting.
Yeah, hard hitting.
Yeah, I was about to say, because you see black women in a hostile situation. Did you see that when you went to them places?
She's not
She
black.
gonna know how to handle it.
She's not black.
I hope so. We'll see. I hope so for the country. But here's what I will say is, when you stop talking to people who disagree with you, it becomes a lot easier to demonize them.
I agree.
And that's what happens in the country. So say what you will about, I know we probably have different views on who we're voting for this cycle, but I will say more so than most Republicans, and in this cycle more so than the Democratic opponent, Donald Trump has talked to people who disagree with him, faced off more than Kamala Harris has, and I think she has a couple months left to see if she has it in her to level up. If you want to sit across the table from Xi Jinping or Vladimir Putin, then you better be willing to sit across the table from your fellow Americans who disagree with you and face that question.
Thank you.
And that's my challenge to her. If she does that, I'm not going to say I'm going to vote for her, but because I disagree with her on the policies. But I will respect her as a candidate in a way that I don't until she actually does it.
You're not going to support your fellow Indian because she's an Indian?
Well, I would say that one thing's actually funny you bring that up. I believe we're all American. We got to vote in policy, of course. A lot of the Indian American community is a little bit disappointed or a little bit offended, at least at the fact that she doesn't really own that part of her identity anymore in the way she did before, right? I'm not saying that. I'm just
she owns both.
I'm don't blame the messenger, but I'm telling you, you can take it as a fact that a good, at least in my read of it, I think a lot of Indian Americans do have a little bit of disappointment about that. My whole view is I don't like identity politics, period, right? One direction or another.
Thank you.
We got to revive our shared American identity. Okay, and so if we are really committed to the ideals of this country, I think we should focus on what policies are you advancing regardless of your race, regardless of your skin color. So whether she's dealing with a tax or she's dealing with leaning into it, I'm against it in both forms. Forget the identity politics around the board and focus on how you're going to have policies that lift up all Americans. That's what I favor talking about. But since you bring it up, don't shoot the messenger here.
Dream,
I think there are some Indian Americans out there that do feel some sense of offense about it.
Well, I want to tell Indian Americans that's not true. She claims both sides, black and Indian. And this is my last question. I know you got to go.
You don't get to speak.
What were your
people,
thoughts
bro.
when Ann Coulter?
I think Vivek made a lot of great points. I think that the way that they keep going up to bat and defending her and trying to be the excuse maker for her is a problem to me as a viewer that's consuming this content. I don't think that you can sit here and listen to them and say they're giving you an unbiased point. They're going up to bat for it, everything he presented. All valid if you vote on with actual logic and you're an actual voter that thinks with your brain. I think he made a lot of points. Go talk to people that disagree with you. Whether or not we respect your policies, we'll respect you as a candidate because we know that you went up and stood in the fire. You're avoiding the fire.
I will respect it.
That's what I'm saying. Then they was like, well, she tried to go virtually to the NABJ. Don't do that, bro.
No,
he said, come in, sit down in person. She has a full-time job. Bullshit. You haven't showed up as the VP for 4 years. You're not showing up now.
She's campaigning.
She's
campaigning.
Country,
that's her job.
Like,
I don't think she's running.
I'm sick of.
Her job is to campaign.
Oh, have you ever seen a black woman in a hostile situation? She's not black, bro.
It's not about that. It's not about that. Because it's the fact that you're supposed, like he said, everything Vivek said, I stamp. I told y'all, whatever Vivek think, I think damn near most of the time. It's the fact that you scared of the smoke.
Yeah,
you're supposed to be the person scared of the smoke.
And you posted
with a reporter.
Imagine.
Go on Fox. Go on the Cartier Enemy channel. Go anyway. Like just I don't know, man. I can't respect that, bro.
I just can't respect that at all.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
what is our policies, bro?
Nobody knows.
We don't know.
That's all.
We don't know what type of offense they run.
I don't think that she's worried about what's going on right now in this administration. I think she's worried about the next 4 years.
But I think a great question. I think a great question to ask Kamala Harris is, I would say, if I could sit across from her in her face, I would ask her, why do you let the media prop you up as this great candidate and prop you up as some great hope when you're a part of the current administration that put us in the hole that we're in and the problems that we're looking at, and you've yet to go and campaign in the month you've been a candidate and speak on what your plan for the future is. You just go and say a bunch of bullshit, but you don't actually get into the nitty gritty and the meat and potatoes and tell us what your policy and your plan for the future is. You've been rated an extremist and a radical, and you picked up another radical who is a confirmed radical, and I'm supposed to trust you as the vision for the future.
Also, I got one question that I eat her ass up alive. Do you believe I could play in women's sports?
That was a good question.
That's a simple question. But
looking at this interview,
yes or no. I don't need no yes or no.
Looking at this interview though, if you agree with anything Charlamagne has said, if you think Charlamagne ate Vivek Ramaswamy up, then you are actually brainless.
You're actually part of the problem.
Look,
that's what it is.
It's a perspective, bro.
Nah,
they looking at it and they're like they're not hearing anything he's saying.
He's not. How can he be a white supremacist?
You can't argue with him. You can't argue.
He's not a white supremacist.
You cannot argue with Vivek.
He's a guy
minority
that's a billionaire that came into politics,
self-made,
and he made an assessment of his common sense. If you agree with
they say he's
Charlamagne,
genius
you're
level.
brainless. I think
they say he's genius level. Candace said she don't know very many people who she's met who are smarter than Vivek.
I feel like what he's saying is basic common sense.
It's the way he breaks it down. It's like, you wanna know, pause, argue with that, please. What do you have to say about that? That's why he's not rebuttaling. He's just coming with another question after. No, he'll have a small rebuttal and then he'll debunk it and then he'll move on.
I think I like the way he kept his cool here because
he always does.
They obviously have a very bias against the things he's trying to talk about, and they keep going to bat for her. And he kept presenting with more logical and factual statements. I mean, how can you argue with this guy? Like, it's just, I just think that people are so far in their own beliefs. They're gonna anything that is said that supports that delusion or belief, they're gonna side with, and I think that's a problem. You need to be subjective here and have a real argument.
This might be why Angela Yee left, bro. Because I feel like when I used to watch her, she was actually kind of smarter than all of them.
She asked real questions.
Yeah,
she didn't go and kiss their ass.
She's not brainless
and pick a side, you know. And I don't really appreciate how Charlamagne and whoever that random girl is are just putting on the cape for her. What's y'all got to be getting paid here.
Angela thinks for herself. Like, this is the second girl that we've seen. I think they also third, Jess. That they're always agreeing with Charlamagne. You have to be a yes man to be on the Breakfast Club. You can't think on another side.
Well, I'm gonna keep it 100. It's a black woman. I think more black women.
I was gonna say that also.
I was saying, as a black woman, I feel like she was gonna go for Kamala no matter what.
I was gonna say that also.
So I can't just say being yes man to Charlamagne.
This also shows what the black community thinks if they don't get another side of a perspective. And I don't know, man. I
just surprised that people don't look at it as like, hey, we have a leader, right? And this leader is supposed to talk on our behalf to other countries. You know,
you gotta have plays.
So I'm just looking like, do people put that in perspective? Like, it's a person that actually controls our safety, and our safety is literally being harmed right now, and people is not looking at that right
you need
now.
To coach that
Winter is coming.
When the corner pressing you, you need to on a 3-4. You need to go on a go route.
You know,
the coach don't need to say. I mean, do
depending on who's the corner.
I mean, whatever you think works. Just be free.
I just have a problem with their positions.
We don't know their positions on nothing. We don't know their policies on nothing.
They don't have plays.
I'm just tired of every media source or every source of media having a bias, especially like sources like this that a lot of people that are not white consume. Like, you're letting them tell you what to think, and they don't even give like a nice opinion that you can help base it off of. They tell you what to think.
Bro,
I'm tired
imagine
of that
having
shit.
a DEI football team. We can have. Why can't we have a transgender right here? Oh, we need a white guy right here, a black guy right here, Mexican guy.
He can't
right
route
here.
nobody up.
we need a woman on the line.
They gonna play Alabama. Them boys gonna come in.
America's a football team. We need the best players out there.
No, it's really that simple though. It's that simple. Put the best players in the best positions. Get you a good coach, Trump, and let's rock and roll.
You can't have a open school where anybody can just come in it. No, you gotta have a certain.
This is elite school.
Exactly. You gotta have a certain GPA to come in this school.
We need Nick Saban.
But you gotta be born here. It's just what it is, man. You can't. I mean, man, this shit's.
When you look at money a certain way, you can understand. I think the other side just think money don't. It's
the
just
more and more I learn about politics, the more and more it seems like the NFL to me. Like you got the New England Patriots. You know,
it does correlate.
It does. They will do whatever they got to do to win. You know.
All right, guys. Let us know what y'all think about this. Vivek Ramaswamy destroyed them once again.
Shout out to Vivek. That's my dog.